Hey, I believe that we have all seen these discussions online where people argue that it may be pointless to shoot on film because you can take a digital image and apply a software tool on it, like a filter or a plugin, and make this digital picture look like a film picture. Add grain, saturation, so that it looks like a certain film stock. And that may be true in some cases, especially if the picture lives all its life in a digital domain, on Instagram and whatnot. But I claim that that misses the whole point of film and analog photography. And I argue that, at least in my case, that picture would not even exist. There would not be any pictures to apply software tools on if I didn't shoot on film. And this is not about the process, in a sense that I would argue for mindfulness and slow process and the quality of life with my film tools. I could do that too, but today I'm only talking about the final picture, the final outcome. And I argue that with film it's different. Is it better? That I don't know. And I'm not against digital. I'm just pointing out that it's such a different media and the results are so different, and saying that you can get film image just by applying a filter after the fact is highly misleading. And to prove my case, let me show you a few pictures and show you 2 photo sessions. I hope I can make this a bit more concrete to you. First, we will shoot some film Washi K. This is originally Kodak Plus-X Air Surveillance Film, number 2402, for those of you who are interested. Anyway, it started its life as a Kodak Plus-X film, and now it's packaged by Film Washi. And when Kodak made it available for air surveillance, they made a couple of changes to the original Plus-X. First of all, they removed the anti-halation layer. That's the layer within the film material that is supposed to prevent internal light leaks. Now that it has been removed, it means that the bright areas, the highlights in your pictures, are even brighter. But it also might cause some artifacts, some ghosts in your picture when the light sort of bounces within the film material. All in all, your pictures are now brighter, more light. Then the other change is that they added more sensitivity to red. And when you add sensitivity to red, you proportionally, take away sensitivity to blue, sort of other end of the spectrum. So if we take landscape pictures, then the sky and maybe the sea are darker than they would otherwise be, which is often a good side effect for landscape photography. Then the funny thing is that since this is originally air surveillance film, it was sold in these huge spools, and the film has sprocket holes. I think those aerial cameras had sprockets that would move this massive film forward. And then if you buy now this film in a sheet film format, 4x5, there are sprocket holes at the both sides of the film. 120 film has been cut to half, so there are sprocket holes only at the one end. That's not important, it's just interesting. So now, with this film, let's get to the point of this video. With this film, I have my selections made in advance. I also now select that I will develop this film in a very thick mix of Rodinal developer, 1 to 25 mix. meaning that I will further amplify the lightness and also the grain of the film. I will take the special characteristics of this film to the max. Airy, bright, cheerful. So this now will then dictate what kind of pictures I take, or do I take pictures at all. This motivated me to go in the middle of the day. Remember, bright, cheerful film, to the lakeside. Airy, a lot of water because of the less sensitivity to blue light. And take some landscape pictures. I mean, originally an aerial surveillance film should be good for landscapes. And I took pictures, composing them also accordingly. A lot of negative space, a lot of air. So what I'm trying to explain here is that this selection of tools is much more than applying filter afterwards. It's the whole process of selecting my location, time of the day, and my subject, landscape in this case. And I took pictures like this. Now, those pictures would not exist if I did not take them with this film. I would not have gone to the lakeside and I would not have composed them the way I did. I might have some other pictures, but not those. Then a few days later, I put some Fomapan 400 into the same camera. My beautiful Rolleiflex 2.8F. Now, this is a total opposite of the previous film. This is muddy, dark, some say depressing. My daughter was visiting us, which is not depressing, by the way. And we then called my mother and said, hey, my daughter is here, so what if we come over and have a cup of coffee with you and all that. And then we drove there and I got ready to take some photographs of them. Now, having this film in my camera, I did not want any smiley faces. Instead, I wanted to capture some intense discussion between my daughter and my mother. Some of the pictures, I composed them sort of from the lower angle to really get the pressure into my pictures. The lighting also, I didn't put any extra lighting there because I love the darkness of that room. And finally, I chose to develop these pictures in Xtol, Adox XT3, because for Fomapan, it really makes the blacks sort of like black velvet. So with this in my camera dictating my work, my composition, how I direct my models, all that, I took these pictures. See, it's not about the film look. It's not about applying a filter afterwards, but it's about using your tools as a means to create a specific atmosphere, specific composition, direct your models, work with lighting. So it's much more than applying something as an afterthought. It's the whole creation of that photograph that is now affected by my tools, film cameras and a particular film. To further prove my point, let's mix these two. You know, I've taken some portraits with this Kodak aerial film. And then if I take portraits, I want to get to a situation where there's much more light, both visually but also in the atmosphere, in the model. Once again, my daughter, now we are having breakfast, but as you can see, the atmosphere is totally different. And then of course I've taken landscape pictures with Fomapan 400. Now it's not an airy, light, cheerful landscape you want to photograph with this, but something totally else. And now the entire composition, the location was dictated by Fomapan 400. Yeah, I mean, my point here is that it's the medium, in this case film, that affects the entire process, all the way from the selection of the location, your decision, should I go and photograph now, to your composition, to your angles, and so how you direct the model and all those things. All the way to selecting your developer, creating the final grain structure, and then printing your pictures. I, for example, want to print typically my Fomapan 400 pictures on a glossy fiber-based paper. Glossiness amplifies the dark parts, make them really strong. And then the fact that it's fiber-based makes it look more substantial, more heavy. So using that medium, selected medium all the way to the end. Not only applying some filters or plugins. So then, why to me film photography is the way to go? It's of course about the process, and I love the slowness, I love to work with my hands, I love these tools, I love these cameras, but even more it's about the uniqueness of my final pictures. I get pictures that I otherwise would not get. And now somebody of course says that, hey, you can do the same with digital cameras. Maybe you can, but can you really? I could not. I can't go out there and pretend that I have Fomapan 400 in my camera and then limit myself accordingly. I don't have that willpower. And I would say I would have 7 lenses and 3 camera bodies and all the freedom at the location. I take worse pictures that I take with 1 camera and 1 lens. Well, 2 lenses. So that limitation has something that actually makes the end result better. And I'm not the only one who says that. Leonardo da Vinci famously said that art lives from constraints and dies from freedom. And on that, it's good to end. Thanks for watching. Next time something else.